Hello and welcome back to The Witch's Brew. I am your host, Amanda, and this week's witchy topic is all about working with eclipses and working eclipse magic. Now, I will say, working with eclipses is not for everyone. Not everyone chooses to work with eclipses because the energy is very potent. It's very heightened and it can be chaotic. However, that's kind of exactly why I like to work with eclipse magic. It was very early on in my psychic medium journey, and where I am living was in the direct line of a full solar eclipse. And I was just told, like, I need to like manifest and channel and blah 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 like during the entirety of that eclipse. And that's exactly what I did. It was some of the most powerful energy that I have ever experienced. And like legit, I cannot wait to be able to experience it again. um, I really don't want that to scare you. Now, if you are not in direct line of an eclipse, you can still work eclipse magic because it's still happening. It is still affecting the astrology. Um, will it be as potent as if you're in a direct line? No. However, it's pretty potent. Pretty potent. You can work some real serious stuff during eclipse time. Now, eclipses often work themselves in like 1 to 2 year cycles. Now, we are about to start a new cycle of eclipses this eclipse season, which it depends on what practitioner you ask. Kind of starts with the new moon in Virgo in August, late August, but the eclipses themselves don't happen until September, October. Now, where I get all of my astrological information is from a TikTok and YouTuber. Her name is Valkyra Verdure. She is fantastically wonderful. She is very, very thorough. It took me a little bit to understand like all of her terminology, I will say that, but the updates she gives just like really resonate with me and make sense to my brain. So I highly recommend her. As I'm filming this right now, which is the end of July, she has been doing a whole series on eclipse magic that you can find on her TikTok page. Again, highly recommend going back and listening to that. I know she's going to be updating that throughout the eclipse season because she also works very, very heavily in eclipse magic and eclipse energy. All right. So this is if doing spells, which I actually I have a spell going right now to start my focus for the eclipses, even though it's not even going to start for like another month. I was told to do one today, so we're doing one. But if working actual spells is not something that you feel totally comfortable in doing, that's also totally fine. Okay. I'm hoping that in this episode, which is probably going to be a little bit of a longer one, I'm hoping that it gives you some ideas on how you can work with this energy, even if you're not doing specific spell work. So this is a great time for shadow work, whether it's a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. All right. So like things to work on, like what are you hiding from yourself or others? What things would you like to be brought to light with yourself or others? Is there a situation that you need clarity on? Because this is, again, I'm thinking about it logically, right? This is a time where either there's a shadow that's passed over the moon or a shadow that's passed over the sun. So it blinds us temporarily and then it gets very brilliant. All right. Um, this energy also makes it very easy to connect with the spirit world. So if working with the spirits is something that you are interested in, the veil gets very thin during eclipses. Um, and honestly, the eclipse energy is going to impact you either way. All right, the planets are still being planets, whether you are working with their energy or not. So ultimately, it is up to you, like if you want to work with that energy or not. Um, again, my personal thought process, and you feel however you can feel about this, is that it's affecting me either way. So I may as well try to use it to my benefit. Um, so something in particular about this eclipse season happening, again, depending on how you practice, late August through October. This one in particular is honestly kind of a great one to start with if you have never done eclipse magic before, because we have Jupiter in Cancer and we're also going to have Venus in Cancer, which is kind of turning our look around a little bit. And I was watching, again, Valkyra's TikToks this morning, and she was actually talking about this. Like, if with Jupiter in Cancer, even if you make a mistake, if you do something that you didn't intend to do, it's still going to be pretty lucky for you. So if this is your first time working with eclipse magic, maybe you do something that you didn't intend to do. Maybe you try to reach a little too far. It happens to the best of us. It's still going to turn out pretty lucky for you. And you're still probably going to get some pretty lucky unintended consequences, which is great. I love a lucky, good, unintended consequence. All right. So depending on if it's a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, that depends on what kind of magic that you might benefit from working the most. However, the way I practice is if you feel called to do something at a specific time, if you feel like you need to do whatever, there is a reason for that. And that's your spirit team trying to tell you something. Okay. Now, with that being said, here's some recommendations. If you are lost, if you're like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I want to go, but I know I want to do something. So solar eclipses, those are often for new beginnings, transformation, luck and abundance, and manifestation. Lunar eclipses, oh, that was profound. Sorry. Part of the notes that I wrote here were channeled. So I'm just going to read some of that. Lunar eclipses brings to light that which has been hidden. It's also a great time for heightened intuition and divination practices, or receiving divine wisdom. Now, I don't know about you, but the spirits have been very chatty with me. And it seems like they've been very chatty with a lot of practitioners. So again, that it's that kind of energy that's around a lunar eclipse. I love lunar eclipses. Just kidding. I love all eclipses. So it really helps to know what sign the eclipse is in. However, if that's not your thing, do whatever feels good to you. All right. I was told today that I really needed to do a spell for bringing in wealth. So that's what I'm doing. Even though we have a bunch of planets retrograde, I'm doing it because my spirits told me to. So a couple examples. Gemini, communication. Cancer, emotions and intuition. Also a water sign, so like flows very easily. Virgo, health and daily routines. Libra, justice. And Pisces, spirituality, psychic powers, and intuition. I also was told, as I was talking about Pisces, that Libra is also great for doing work with karma. Take that how it resonates. As this is being posted, we're approaching Libra season. So, do with that information what you will. All right, let's talk about some workings. We'll do solar eclipse first. And I want to first off thank some of the deities that I called in to help me with this episode. And for our solar deities, thank you, Ra, and also thank you, Apollo. And for our lunar deities, thank you, Artemis, and thank you, Thoth. All super cool to work with. All right, so solar eclipses, things that you can do. Manifestation, new jobs, money, any workings that will bring something new to the forefront. It's a great time for affirmations and mindset shifts. That's what I did with my first solar eclipse. It worked beautifully. I'll just say that. If you practice divination, this is a great time to talk to the spirits, to leave offerings, to ask your team for help in various areas of your life. However you like to work with the spirits, great time to bring spirits into your workings. Again, psychic medium, I really think any time is a great time to bring spirits in, but if you're maybe not as spirit inclined, but you want to start, again, great time. Oh yeah. Don't worry about finding the perfect spell or doing the perfect thing, because there are going to be a lot of other practitioners that are going to be all up in your feed trying to tell you exactly how you should work this eclipse magic into your favor. Now, if one of those resonates with you, great. Go ahead, do it. If none of those resonate with you, or if you're feeling called to do something else, do that. Do the thing, right? Lunar eclipse energy. When comparing the two types of eclipses, I feel like lunar eclipses are generally more gentle. They're a little bit more introspective, as opposed to the solar eclipses, which are very bright, very blinding. If you really are like super nervous still about working with eclipses, I would probably suggest a lunar eclipse to start with, because the energy from a solar eclipse is it is pretty blinding. But again, I'm not here to scare you away from doing that, because I think the energy from a solar eclipse is just, it's peak. It's fantastic. So lunar eclipses, though, are a great time for doing shadow work, for reflection. If you're a journaling person, do some journaling. Really coming inward. A lot of self-care usually comes in for me around the lunar eclipses. Some of the things that Artemis suggested was, what are some things that you would like to change? How would you like to move differently going forward? What are some things that you can do to better improve your life and way of living? Again, if there's another question that's coming to you as I'm talking about this or during a lunar eclipse, focus on that, because that's probably what you should be focusing on anyways. Sometimes, a lot of the time, we as humans have a much different idea of what we need to focus on than the spirits. When in doubt, I tend to go to where the spirits are kind of pushing me to go, because I know that that's probably going to be a priority down the line, especially in terms of shadow work, which again, we're talking about lunar eclipses. Great time for shadow work. But chances are, if the spirits are calling me to work on something shadow work related, even if it's not what I have in mind, I will go just put the work in, feel the feelings, do the journaling, do the meditations, try to move past it, love it, accept it, and then go on to what I had in mind, because chances are down the line, I'll need it anyways. And it's better to face it when the spirits call me to do it, rather than ignore it and then have to go through a really, really tough lesson later. Again, to each their own. So anyway, all of that to say, it's not that you can't perform spells. Like, I certainly have. I probably will again. I definitely will again. It's honestly, it's totally up to you. Again, in my practice, I tend to go with, do what feels right to you. A lot of people will recommend lunar eclipse magic being focused on what you can improve in your life, which honestly, when you think about it, like, there's a pretty wide range of things that I would like to improve in my life. Take that how it resonates. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm kind of chatting with Artemis and reading my notes at the same time. I will say one example of a lunar eclipse working versus a solar eclipse working. All right. On a similar topic. So for a solar eclipse money working, it might be about getting a new job or starting a new project so you can get more money. But a lunar eclipse money working may be more focused on your using your talents to your advantage to better make money. Okay. So if you were looking for an idea, hopefully that kind of helps a little bit. And again, lunar eclipses are just a fantastic time to practice divination. You may want to ask your spirit team recommendations on what to improve or how you can improve something. They often have more ideas than I can come up with. If you are going through something at that time, ask their advice, and then act or respond accordingly. There are so many ways that you can ask the spirits for help during this time. There are so many different ways to practice divination as well. Just talk with your spirit team. That's been coming through a lot lately for a lot of people. Talk to your spirit team. So if you do not have time to do a spell, to do a working during an eclipse or like the day of an eclipse, again, it's still potent energy. And just like I talked about with the new moon and full moon episode, the energy from an eclipse is still going to be the most potent the day of, and really one day on either side of it. So one day before, one day after. But still, like, if you don't have time to do a working until like 3 days after, do it. If you're still being called to do a working 4 days after, do it. All right. I don't want you to feel like, oh, well, the eclipse is already passed, so like, what's the point? Magic is great anytime. You can do a working at any time. It doesn't even have to be related to the planets. Some practitioners would tell you otherwise and would probably get very mad at me for saying that. But it really doesn't need to be related to the planets. Like, if you're feeling a money manifestation, you don't just have to do it on Thursday. Is that the day that it's going to be most potent? Probably. All right, let's move on. So if you don't have time to do anything at all, even if it's journaling or whatever, you just don't have time, you don't have the energy, just something in you is saying no, that's totally fine. Like, good for you for like listening to your body, actually. Okay? Please don't feel like you're a bad witch or a bad practitioner or like your spirits hate you. Like, that's not it. All right? There are more opportunities to do more workings. And again, if you are feeling called to rest, if you're feeling called to do something else, there is a reason. Okay, so honor that. Honor that. I will say eclipses tend to happen every spring and every fall. Okay, and yes, that seems like a long time in between eclipses. However, like, don't put too much pressure on yourself to do something for every big planetary transit. All right. Some of these planets are changing a lot. Be kind to yourself, please. Be kind. This is something that's supposed to be fun. That's supposed to be enjoyable. So please let it be. Please don't hold yourself to such a high, unattainable standard that you don't practice at all, because that's not really the point of this. So I love you. I hope this helps. And I will see you next week. Bye.